Okay, blockbuster trade right here. The second time in Laremy Tunsil's career he has been traded. The Washington Commanders have had such a unique offseason. They have so much cap space because they're so ahead of schedule with Jaden Daniels being great. He's also on a rookie deal, so they have all of this money to spend. And I think they've made a couple of controversial moves, we'll say, so far. With the Deebo Samuel move, where I think he's an effective player, but how effective will he be? And is that where they should be spending their money? Those questions were questions I had when I saw that move, although I still do like him as a player. The Javon Kinlaw one is a move that people have mostly disagreed with. And now, instead of going out and improving the defense with a big move, they decide to improve the offensive line with a big move. And you know what? They could use a left tackle. I don't think Brandon Coleman was awful last year, but they could use a left tackle. And if you can use a left tackle, why not go out and get a great left tackle in Laremy Tunsil, which is what he is and what he currently is. So Laremy Tunsil, has he played over 1,000 snaps. He's basically played each of the last 3 years, which for an older player, you want to make sure you're getting a healthy player. They are, and he's still been very effective. According to PFF, he was the 23rd best tackle last season. So you're still getting a great player and 4th best pass blocking tackle. So listen, Jaden Daniels made it work with the situation they had last year. Don't ask him to do that every year. Why not improve the offensive line? And that's what they decide to do. The draft compensation for this, it is going to be a second and a fourth rounder that the Texans receive, plus a third rounder this year. So I guess a future second and fourth rounder plus a third. So they get a second, a third, and a fourth, the Texans do. They also give back a fourth. So it's essentially a second and a third for Laremy Tunsil, who, again, sometimes people feel like, well, shouldn't this be more than what it just what the comp, why is it only a second and third round pick for a really good tackle? Two key things to note. For one, Tunsil is 30 years old, which is not that bad for an offensive lineman. You expect him to still be effective for a bit. But the other, I think, bigger thing is the current, his current contract, which, again, we'll see how much the Commanders end up actually paying, because usually there are kind of some deals worked out, and it's hard to know exactly how the contract is stated. But Tunsil's cap hit for the next 2 seasons was supposed to be $28 million this upcoming year, and then $28 million the following year as well. Now, a decent chunk of that has already been paid to Tunsil. So if they were to cut him instead of trade him, they would have saved only $3 million and still owed him $25. But then the next year it would have been $21. So that's $24 total million he's still to be paid. I'm wondering if the Commanders are going to just be paying that, just the $24 million, or will it be more than that? We'll have to wait for those details to come out. But as of right now, he's getting paid. But honestly, he's in his early 30s. You're getting 2 years, and to be quite frank, if he's getting $28 million a year, that's still not a bad move. So I really like this from the Commanders' perspective. Yes, they need help defensively, but you know what? Sometimes the best defense is the good offense. We saw that in the Lions game, right? If you can keep scoring, who cares if your defense can't get stops? Well, because we saw in the Eagles game, if you fumble too much, then you're out of the game, essentially. So they still need to improve the defense a little bit, I would say, if not a lot. But this is, again, you can do both. You can definitely improve both at the same time. And so that's what they're hoping to do in this situation. But yeah, I think Tunsil's a really good player. Let's take it from the other perspective now. So the Houston Texans, I think the one thing we said going into this offseason was they got to make sure they make their offensive line worse, right? Can we make sure that we take a step back offensive line-wise, because it was too good last year? Okay, I'm joking a little bit. Their offensive line was a bit of a mess, so why are you getting rid of your one good offensive lineman? I think that's a fair question to ask. And Titus Howard's pretty good, but essentially Jarrett Patterson isn't bad at the center position. I don't know. And then Juice Scruggs also got snaps, and the interior is all right. So they have some pieces, but there's too many issues. And quite frankly, they could probably, I don't know, they could use probably 2 offensive linemen, and now they need to add another one. They also switched some guys around on top of it. So it's a a weird situation that they are currently in, and I don't know why they make this move. A second and third round pick is not bad value for a offensive lineman who's on the wrong side of 30. They famously traded multiple first for him, if I remember correctly, back when Bill O'Brien was GM. He made some wild trades, but ultimately, again, Tunsil's an effective player. I guess they're just hoping they can build through the draft this way, getting a second and a third. The Commanders clearly not afraid to trade away draft picks, both with the Deebo Samuel one, with this one, with the Marshawn Lattimore one. I mean, they're not afraid to give up draft picks to do it. And listen, I mean, a second and a third, that's valuable. It certainly is. Again, keep in mind, it is not this year though. And for me personally, CJ Stroud has a couple years left on his rookie deal. I kind of feel like, why are you building for the future? Shouldn't you be trying to be competitive now? These are two teams, you could argue, in very similar situations. The Commanders won an extra playoff game this year, but in very similar situations of having a quarterback who you like on a rookie deal. But you're seeing the Commanders kind of do what they can to go all in, and the Texans maybe being a bit cautious here. Again, maybe they're just kind of trying to move off of Tunsil a year too early than a year too late. But I think these years are important, and I would want to be good in these years. So, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how I'm viewing it personally. So, if you're a Commanders fan who is maybe disappointed that I wasn't too high on your other moves, this one I am a big fan of. And for the Texans, again, I think you have to hope, if you're a Texans fan, that Washington's taking on some more of the salary. Because if it's just the $24 million that he will be owed, that's nowhere near. And for 2 years, that's just that would be a steal. So I don't know. It's a weird situation for the Texans, who I think have some talent on this roster. Maybe they say, hey, our offensive line already stinks. What's one more bad situation? But that is not how I would be thinking if I was Houston. So yeah, again, we'll see. Again, maybe the logic is, well, we can get rid of this. We can sign a player with this, and now we have 2 draft picks. We can add a couple more offensive linemen and make it work that way. And we need a complete offensive line, not one good player. Okay, sure, but you're not going to get these picks this year, and then you'll get the picks next year, but then they'll be rookies, so you might not get it later. If you didn't have the quarterback on a rookie deal, I think I would defend it a lot more. It's just the timing of this move is a little bit curious for me, and I don't fully understand it. But for Washington, for those exact reasons, I'm a big fan of it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this move. Before I go, I will mention I do have a movie channel. If you want to hear my thoughts on movies, you can check that out. The link is in the description below. I have some, we have some fun on that channel as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Laremy Tunsil to the Washington Commanders in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.